When it comes to the 2020 Dallas Cowboys and the failures of the first 7 games of this season, it's fair to wonder, is the glass half full or half empty? Today's video is brought to you by betonline.ag. Betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. So on the one hand, it's pretty obvious why the Cowboys have been really bad this year, and specifically the last couple of weeks. You lose your starting quarterback and 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen, and it's tough to think you're going to be very good. Plus, if you go back and watch some of the videos that I made before the season started, I implored everybody to be cautious about this defense. And I said, I believe that this Cowboys team could be a Super Bowl team if their defense was average. People were like, oh, their defense will be average, their defense will be better than average. But I wasn't so sure about that, especially because of the secondary. So, is the glass half full? Do we need a full-on rebuild? Because everybody's talking about how bad the front office has been and full-on rebuild and what a miserable, miserable organization this is to just hit the restart button. It's like, wait a second. This team is built to win on offense. They lost their quarterback. They lost their starting left tackle and right tackle. And then, of course, they lost Zach Martin for a week. They've had other guys in and out of the lineup. And no, it's been a very fluid situation along their offensive line. So for a team that was built with a strength on offense, it was going to have to lean on its offense to win games and on its defense. Now you see why this team is where it is. When you watch them, it makes you want to veer into oncoming traffic. So is the glass half full? Is it just a matter of getting guys back and healthy, and this team will be back to being contenders in the next season? Or, it's fair to wonder, is the glass half empty? And is this season and just how fragile everything was, is it really about the injuries to the offense, or is it about the fact that this Cowboys organization has done nothing of substance to try to upgrade this defense through free agency or the draft for many, many years, and it's particularly in their secondary and at the safety position? Because you could argue, aside from going out and signing Gerald McCoy in free agency, everybody else that they signed, and Clinton Dix, and Dontari Poe, and, well, I'd throw Darryl Worley in there, but he wasn't much of a huge signing, and Maurice Canaday, and I mean, go on and on and on in terms of the players they signed that they thought were upgrading their defense, that if you looked at film on them from previous years, are probably not going to be much of an upgrade. I think like most things, the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. It's hard to overlook the impact that an injury to your starting quarterback can have and your offensive line when this team was built to win on offense. But at the same time, the margin for error for this team was so slim that if they were to lose a Dak Prescott or to lose offensive linemen, that their season would be completely and utterly derailed because of the lack of anything that they had on defense. Look, this defense was bad last year, and it lost arguably its best player in Byron Jones, certainly its best player along the secondary. So again, the idea that this team was going to be in any capacity credible whatsoever on defense was a joke. It really was. Because even though they did spend a little bit of money in free agency, they still went bargain bin basement shopping, and that's been the problem with this organization for the last decade. You cannot fortify all your holes in the draft. You can't. You cannot go 100% into the draft and say, we'll dip our toe into the free agency water and be bargain bin shoppers. Eventually that's going to bite you in the ass. And that's exactly what happened to the Cowboys in 2020. They had Super Bowl aspirations, but lost a significant chunk of their offense and then could not in any capacity lean whatsoever on their defense. At some point, you have to take some risks in free agency. The Cowboys really haven't done that. Aside from signing Gerald McCoy, it's the biggest splash the Cowboys have made in years in free agency, and that doesn't include Amari Cooper, who was traded for. The Cowboys secondary has been bad for quite some time. Byron Jones, despite not having a ton of picks, made up for a lot of how bad it was. But all they've done is drop wasted draft picks in Jordan Lewis and Anthony Brown and Chido Awuzie and a bunch of players that have not panned out along their secondary, and 6th and 7th round picks into their safety position. For years, their fans and the media have implored them to put a little bit of draft capital into their safety position. Maybe put a little free agency into their safety position. And for years, they've sat on their hands and said, it's not an important position, it doesn't matter. This year, more than any other year, is an indictment on the way that the Cowboys build their roster. all or nothing in the draft. Stephen Jones and the Cowboys front office made their bed. Now they have to lie on it. Stephen Jones and the Cowboys front office made their bed. Now they have to lie in it. As for Sunday Night Football, Ben DiNucci. Why not be excited? I mean, why not? We've got 9 football games left in the season. You might as well enjoy it. No reason to start talking about the offseason yet. We'll have the entire offseason to do that. We still have 9 weeks to enjoy football and not talk about the offseason. Plus, Zach Martin's back, so DiNucci, why not? Today's video brought to you by betonline.ag. Betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. Consider hitting like or subscribe because I post videos on your Dallas Cowboys.